The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you're taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon, live from Bar Canada at the D. What's happening, man?
Not much, dude. How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Thank you to, by the way, it was a little Bananarama. I heard a rumor when we walked in here. I'm not sure what we're playing right now. I'm glad to know the music has worked out. Thank you to Jared Smith. Thank you to Matt Brown. Thank you to Ben Wilson for hanging out here on a numbers game, filling in admirably, I'm sure.
Yep. As always.
Thank you for being here every one of the 5 days. On today's show, Samich. Little Samo bombing a little later on. Talk NBA and NHL playoffs with him. We'll also get a check-in with Mark Borchard on baseball. We'll do that. In addition to, of course, the standard check-in with Jake Hahn on the NHL playoffs as well. I was driving in, Kelley. By the way, great to be back. I was driving in, and I heard you doing the promo for the show, and you were very excited about what was coming up. Everything that I just mentioned. Very excited.
That work for you?
Oh, my God. I was like, I better cash the check he just wrote, for God's sakes.
I'm very glad you heard that. I forgot about that.
You're like, Monday. I was like, oh, my God. What's happening? Oh, it's me.
Maybe you had Ben laughing way too hard while I was recording that. Probably not a good setup.
Can we let's start with something we don't normally do, which is try to put ourselves back in a headspace of last week when I was gone, and specifically between Tuesday morning and the rest of the week, which is to say after Game 2 of the Nuggets and the Timberwolves into the weekend before Game 3 was played. And I'm curious when you guys were talking about this, because I didn't get the impression just walking around in the world that people were, on the one hand, yes, obviously people had all it took was 2 road wins by the T-Wolves at Denver for the earth to completely fall off its axis, right? Where it's like, oh my God, here was the, no matter what you thought about the Celtics, maybe you had a handicap on the Celtics, maybe you felt that they were going to be the NBA champions, whatever. But for those of us who still were in the Nuggets camp, all it took was the 2 games on the road for Minnesota to win, and it wasn't just me who thought this. The entire sports talk world, sports betting talk world in addition, really felt, and I think justifiably so, oh, the Nuggets are cooked.
Yeah.
This is done.
Yeah. Yep.
And if the Nuggets, I think Will Hill couched it in a way, was if the Nuggets could take a split in Minnesota, would they take it immediately? And the answer was, yeah, of course they would take it immediately. They're getting destroyed. But I'm curious.
Actually, I forgot he asked. I think I said no because they've got to win. They got to be thinking win both, or else you don't stand a chance in this series.
Oh, I think most people, again, you got to put yourself back in that headspace. Yeah. I think most people would have been like, oh, they'll take it immediately. But the reckoning that I wondered if you guys got to was, we were on the cusp. If you bought into the fact that the T-Wolves, okay, they're up 2-0, they're going to figure out a way to win this series now, with not only home court, but actually having 2 shots at it. Clearly, the series now 2-2. We'll get to that. We'll get to the present day momentarily. But did you get to the point where you had the reckoning, like, oh my God, not only is the earth off its axis based on those 2 games, but we may have to get to the point that everything we thought we knew, meaning people in sports betting media, everybody in sports media, everybody who has an opinion about basketball, 100% of people. I don't know many things in the world that are in sports world that are 100% on one side. And I'm talking about the Rudy Gobert trade. That even for those of us who believe that Wembanyama was clearly a defensive player of the year, and it was a joke that Gobert won the award, and I think it's been proven a joke over and over, even here in the postseason, if you didn't think that the regular season was enough proof of it. But in the end, if the T-Wolves were to get by the Nuggets, and then it was an easy leap to say, remember the headspace we were in last week, it was then an easy leap to say, well, the Timberwolves maybe ought to be the favorite to win it all then. That if they do win it all of a sudden, everything that everybody thought that was the worst trade in history was actually the best trade in history. And that would have had to have been the biggest collective eating of crow of any sports opinion in modern day history.
Yeah. It would have been, and it could still be.
And it could still be. Because
right?
it's 2-2. The series is hardly over.
I don't really know, because I always think trades like that are hard to like if you have I don't care what sport we're talking about, right? A massive trade that changes the destiny of two franchises, and you know that because of how much was traded.
Yes.
Is one championship enough?
Let us just repeat what is. Yeah, one championship is enough. That's what I was getting at. So again, the trade was Tim Connolly. By the way, Tim Connolly was the what is his official title? President of Basketball Operations. He was with the Denver Nuggets, and he built the Nuggets. And the year before they won the championship, Tim Connolly said, "Deuces, I got $40 million in 5 years on the table with the T-Wolves to take the same job." So he bolted. The year before, he saw the team that he built win the NBA championship. And so if you buy into this, he's like, look, I know because I built this team, I know how to beat this team. And the way to beat this team is to flood the zone with as many big bodies as possible. And the way that we drive that home, because remember after game one, even Jokic himself was like, we have to clone me. We have to clone me. There's not enough of me to go around. I'll get exhausted here. Gobert went from the Jazz to the T-Wolves. And the Jazz got a first-rounder in 2023, first-rounder in 2025, a first-rounder in 2027, a first-rounder in 2029, a pick swap in 2026, plus Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, and Jared Vanderbilt and a couple others.
It's absurd.
5 picks, 5 first-rounders, 4 first-rounders and a pick swap, and 5 other players for Rudy Gobert. And universally, 100% of the human beings on earth had an opinion on basketball, with the exception of Tim Connolly, thought this was the most ridiculous trade of all time. But if this had happened, and it still could, but if this had happened at 2-0 heading back to Minnesota, it seemed far more likely, getting back to our headspace of last week, when I was not here, that if you can then extend that to the T-Wolves were going to win the NBA championship, all of a sudden, Tim Connolly's like, not only was it not the worst trade in NBA history, it was the exact opposite. And it did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is win us a championship. And Kelley, I want you to lean in once again for this. The object is to win a championship. Whew, I think it's time for another vacation after that nugget. I just think
I think it's a great point to be made because of how many people
it took was 2 games,
including myself, who have ripped that trade apart for years. Yeah,
and I'm the biggest
right there.
And I'm the biggest Gobert hater there is. But I'm saying if you somehow can parlay that into, we beat the giant, and forget what you think about him, defensive player of the year, and whether he's not even covering Jokic, whatever. But the strategy of getting him got us a championship. Yeah. Anyway, that's where our headspace was 2 games ago.
I know.
And now the Earth has returned to its axis. We're back to where we were.
Well, and it's funny you say it like that, because even me last night, I was just thinking about how massive some of these game 3s feel now, looking back, where maybe even in the time it didn't feel as big. But like the Timberwolves in game 3 back in Minnesota, it was ugly. It was a blood. It finally felt like a young team, right? They had 1-2 on the road.
Yes.
Like, we're cruising, no big deal. And then what happens? You lose 1. Okay, now you lose that game last night, and we're right back to where we started from 2-2 going back to Denver.
But it is also, from a betting standpoint, it's the biggest example. It's like the greatest example of how recency bias can absolutely screw you up in the NBA playoffs.
Totally. 100%.
We have gone from the Nuggets are absolutely the team to beat to, oh my God, they'd be lucky to win 1 in Minnesota. They're toast, to right back to where we were.
Yeah, I mean, Ben said it on the air on Friday. Like, we got into it a little bit, and then carried over during a break where he was like, I don't even know that the Celtics are going to be favored heading into the NBA Finals. That was just Friday. It was Friday. It was all 2 games ago.
We'll get to the Celtics, because I think a lot of people, because the Celtics won Game 3 against the Cavs, are already back to, the Celtics are going to crush them tonight. I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, by the way, in case you missed Game 4 yesterday of the Nuggets and the T-Wolves, with the Nuggets trying to even it up, their best of 7 Western Conference semifinal series at 2 apiece, which they did do. The Nuggets took their first lead of the game at 23-22 after a sequence. And I just want to isolate this one play. They never gave up the lead after this. A sequence in which Ant screamed he was fouled. Then Cat screamed louder that he was fouled on the attempted rebound. Gordon then forced contact on Conley on the other end, and on hearing the whistle, changed a pass to a shot mid-motion and got a prayer answered with a 3-point play that put the Nuggets up 23-22. They never looked back. It was part of a 26-4 run that turned a 22-15 deficit into what eventually was a 41-26 lead, and then the blowout ensued. Biggest sequence beyond that, of course, the end of the first half. Denver's up 56-49. KCP hits a 3 with 19.3 seconds left. They go up 10, 59-49. Minnesota sets up for a last shot. Worst that can happen there is you're down 10 at the half. Actually not a horrible outcome after what you've been through in that first half. Ant-Man turns it over with just over 6 seconds left. Jokic ahead to Porter Jr. Dunk, 61-49, 1.6 left. What a flurry to end the half, right? Amazing 5-point play to end the half for the Nuggets. Nope. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, careless throw. Jamal Murray picks it off from just beyond half court. Nothing but net. 64-49. An 8-point sequence in just over 19 seconds that turned a 7-point lead into a 15-point lead, and you felt any shot that the T-Wolves might have had went out the window right there. By the way, what was the final score? Nuggets by 8.
It's like those 8 might have mattered, Gill.
It was just incredible.
Especially since I felt like the end of that game, it felt like one of those games, throw 5 more minutes on the clock, I think Minnesota's winning this game, and the way they were surging back at the end there. So a couple major moments, and however Minnesota wants to look at it, what you left on the table there, you're going back to Denver now. It's all tied up 2 apiece. And Anthony Edwards had a great game last night. Man, I think everybody else in that locker room needs to look around, though. Gobert, Naz Reid, bunch of these guys. I mean, Naz Reid couldn't stay on the court. I know everybody's killing Gobert today, but Naz is up there, too.
Can't disagree. We'll get to tonight's games. And we'll also get to that Celtics Game 3 as well, that series. A little baseball break. Mark Borchard on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
For a limited time only, we're offering our annual subscription at an unbeatable price. Normally priced at $240. You can now grab your subscription for just $199. Sign up today. We'll also give you an extra 2 months for free. That's 14 months of Visa Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code ANG. With Visa Pro, you'll gain instant access to our daily best bets with the leaderboard to see which Visa expert has the hot hand. Betting splits to show you where the money and bets are moving for every game. Betting systems, premium analysis, 24/7 video access. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe today to claim your 14 months of VSiN Pro for only $199. That's with promo code ANG. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. It's Gill Alexander. This gentleman comes to us, I should say, from an undisclosed location in the desert, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Somehow the Progressive Guest Line found him at that undisclosed location. You can find him on BaseWinner, on Twitter, at BaseWinner.com. BetUS Podcast is Mark Borchard, everybody. How you doing, Mark?
Gil, I'm doing good, man. It feels like I haven't talked to you for a while. What, you've been on an extended vacation?
Took a week off last week. Some stuff. Had to take care of some stuff. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah.
Kind of like Johnny Carson. He took more vacation than he worked.
Johnny, are you accusing me of taking more vacation than I work? Is that what you're doing?
Actually, you are one of the hardest working men in the industry. Actually, you put in it from I think maybe from August 15th till the end of the Super Bowl. I think you go straight.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Oh, it's tough work. It's like mining coal is what it is. Listen,
like first world problems, Gil. I know. I hear you.
Speaking of working, how about you and I tomorrow after a numbers game? How about you and I do a Beating the Book podcast, doing our first our Q1 derivative special for the year?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Before the show, I was like, Gil's doing all these futures betting. You might be ahead of the curve here. I mean, I think that the long-term betting ideas are probably more profitable, at least from a standpoint of if you want to make money, because there's just so many markets you can bet. And I was looking at a couple today. I was just like, wow, why are we even doing it every day? Just up your Monte Carlo simulations and roll with those, Gil.
Well, this is actually, I think, a worthwhile macro conversation about baseball betting. So Mark and I, we met over a decade ago. We were huge baseball bettors, daily basis. Mark still does it today. And listen, in those days, we could go to a Fangraphs page. We could look at Fielding Independent and XFIP and BABIP and very simple sabermetrics, and we could beat the betting line on a consistent basis. 2012, I had a huge year. 2014, I had a huge year. 2013, not so much, by the way. But there were years where you just had tremendous profits. And then I think a combination of also, if you couldn't get the picks the night before, like earlier and earlier, you had to adjust to the market move. That became earlier and earlier. Then sabermetrics became much more mainstream. And so I do think, like if you talk to an old schooler like Roxy, for instance, Roxy Roxborough, the founder of Las Vegas Sports Consultants, a guy who had isolated ballpark factor before anybody even used the term ballpark factor, even he stopped betting on a day-to-day basis, right? And I came to that conclusion myself many years later where it's like, okay, I used to be able to use those to beat the betting lines on a daily basis. I had to adjust when I would make the plays. And then also just the nature of the game, right, where they took starting pitchers out much earlier on average. And for God's sake, some teams actually even started with an opener. Once those things happened, I do think to gravitate towards season-long stuff, or at least longer period sample size bets was the move, for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you eliminate some of that variance. I mean, like, okay, Sonny Gray, I mean, I thought if I was betting a daily bet every day, oh, he's the lock of the year on a daily game. He had a bad game the last time out. Is Sonny Gray a bad pitcher? No, but then you can really iron out a lot of that variance over the course of the season. And I think that, before you weren't even able to, once you bet those season win totals at the first of the year, you couldn't get in on them. And now there's so many different markets. I was taking a look at DK today. They got divisional, they got straight exactas. They've got, it really, it's a opportunity abound there, Gill.
It's also, I would, again, as we showed with the Guardians bet in March, April, and by the way, the Guardians not doing quite as well after their horrific series against the White Sox here in May. Time will tell, but I think there's a lot more fun to it just tracking it without having to deal with every single game. Let me just, speaking of the variance you're talking about, let's talk about it, give an example of that, a real life example of what you're talking about. Take the Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins start this season 7-13. They look pretty bad. And then they win and win and win, and you think at some point they'll never lose another baseball game. They're 17-3 since then. Now, collectively, you do the math, they're a 20-16 baseball team. Is that kind of the snapshot of where you would have had them anyway after 36 games, as opposed to having gone through the horrible stretch and then the great stretch?
Yeah, you bring up a good example with the Twins, because if I was a smarter man than I am, I would have just loaded up on the Twins after that horrible start, because the fundamental numbers for the most part don't change, particularly when you're talking about the offensive numbers, the batting numbers that take really to get a good sample. I think you at least need 500 plate appearances. So those offensive numbers in the first 15 games of the season aren't going to change that much. Maybe there's some pitching numbers that would, but for the most part, you've got to be looking at a bigger sample on those as well. So I think that, and this is my most regrettable miss in I think the history of me handicapping, was when the Nationals, Gill, you remember this, in 2019, they started off horribly, but they had the talent that suggested they could come back and do something, and the odds were really good for them, and I just never pulled the trigger on that. So, sorry, we kind of got on a tangent here.
No, I think I think that's the most practical baseball betting advice you give, because it is true, right? Like, look for those, because it's 162 games, right? So the beauty of betting baseball is still that, because there's 162 data points, your ability to overcome negative variance, if your handicap is correct, right, your broad handicap on any one of these teams is correct, that you can exploit those lulls in a season, right? Or if you have a bad handicap on a team, you can exploit their good runs at those moments. Because over that long of a sample size, the true nature, the skill set will manifest either way, good or bad, right? As opposed to, again, 17 games in the NFL, or God forbid 13 games in college football. You have a bad couple weeks, your season's kind of over in college, right?
Yeah, Gil, that was well said, because you don't even know. Like in the NFL, I'm almost to the point where, like, I mean, are we just making stuff up because the sample size is so low, right? But in baseball, this stuff correlates. Strikeout percentage, last 150 played. I mean, it's really a correlative stuff, and it stabilizes quickly and stuff. So I think we have an advantage betting baseball because the stats, I think, are a little bit more reliable, Gill.
And just bringing up, and we'll get to your picks right here, but you bringing up the football thing, I think, is a great reminder here in May for those of us in football season who, again, it's like, okay, well, if the Chiefs have a few bad games, you can't let your eyes, we're all guilty of this, I'll raise my hand, I'm front of the line, you just can't let your eyes deceive you, right? In a way, it's like, they'll be fine. It's not something to like read into. Okay, what did you play today in a not a short baseball card, but a shortish one?
Well, I went with the base winner parlay, of course, and we'll lead with that. But I like Houston and San Diego. They both need to win. It pays plus 133. And I think that really, at least from an offensive standpoint, this Houston Astros is third by my ratings. And that takes a look at a collective of the last 500 plate appearances for each guy. I think offensively, they're really good. The starting pitching has been bad for Houston. The relief pitching is an interesting story, Gill, because they have the setup 7, the setup 8, and the closer. You're looking at Hader, Presley, and Abreu. They're all over 30% strikeout percentage. That's elite. So at least they have that, I think, going for them. They have the offense going for them. I think that the A's have been a little bit like, it's kind of like the Indians of Major League story, bad owner, teams overperforming. Maybe they'll get to the playoffs. I don't think they're as good as the market thinks. I've got this game priced at minus 213. The market has it at minus 184. And then with the San Diego Padres, this is just more of a play against this horrible Colorado team. I mean, they and the White Sox are just abysmal. And I've got this game priced. I know it's in the market kind of high at minus 211, but I don't think that's fair. I think it should be minus 283. So we go with Houston, we go with San Diego, and you get plus money on those. And I've got a couple dogs here that I'll throw out, Gill. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I'd like their bullpen. I know that they've been kind of maligned in the media over the last couple of weeks, but that bullpen's fourth in baseball. So you can get them at plus 100 full game versus the Angels. And then I'm going to go with the Reds. This Graham Ashcraft has really good stuff. Plus, he really hasn't been able to translate it, but I think there's some ceiling there. And I don't know. I think that at plus 130, I think it's a good play against the Diamondbacks tonight, Gil.
All right. So a couple dogs there on this Monday, again in Major League Baseball, that Mark is throwing in addition to the official parlay of the day, which Mark always throws in. At base winner, Mark Borchard. Thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, Gil. My pleasure.
Bet2US, the name of the podcast that he does as well, or the network at which you can find the Base Winner podcast. Kelley and I back on the NBA train on the other side. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This segment is brought to you by Zyn nicotine pouches. Few things are as rewarding as winning the big game, but rewards from America's #1 nicotine pouch come close. Zyn nicotine pouches are smoke-free, spit-free, hassle-free, and can be enjoyed from anywhere, anytime. It's available in a deep roster of varieties and gives you the choice of 2 strengths. Whether you're managing your fantasy lineup on the go, watching the game from the stands, or cheering your favorite team from the couch, you can get the nicotine satisfaction you want with Zyn. Plus, with Zyn Rewards, every can of Zyn earns you points towards premium items like tailgating gear, top-of-the-line tech, kitchen accessories, and even gift cards. In fact, it's the only nicotine pouch brand to offer an expansive reward program, with new items added seasonally. Find your Zyn at your local convenience store or online at Zyn.com. That's Zyn, ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Thank you, Ryan. I want to be Ryan's agent. Does he have an agent?
I don't know. He might very well might.
Does a wonderful Zyn read.
I don't know if he's back or not. I think it was. I think he was on a Alaska cruise.
Ryan was, really?
Yeah, Alaskan cruise. Yeah.
My dad went on a cruise when he was like 70. He had never been on a cruise before, and all of a sudden they got the idea. He's like, I'm going to go on a cruise to Alaska. Yeah. And he was like an encyclopedia when he came back. Do you know how much an eagle weighs? I'm like, no.
What's the answer? I have no idea.
Like 2 pounds.
How much does an eagle weigh? I have no
apparently.
clue.
He was like filled with all of these Alaska facts.
If you were to tell me a standard bald eagle weighed anywhere between 3 to 18 pounds, I would believe.
Oh, no, it was the low side. That's why he was so amazed by the question. He asked this of every human being he ran into for the next 2 weeks. I was like, okay, enough with the Eagle question.
That's great.
I want to go on another one. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Najee by nature, not because I hate you. He's responding to somebody who had a T-Wolves 70-1 to win it all ticket, and he said to him, we should have cashed it out when they were up 2-0. Let's talk about this the other way. When Denver was down 2-0, they were 20-1 to win the series, something like that. Did you for even 1 second consider it? No, right? And that was my point from the first segment. Let's not act like we were in this headspace 2 games ago.
Yeah.
We were not. It was like, no, I'm not betting that.
If someone was like, here's a free ticket on Denver, I'd be like, can I get something else? Like, is it possible for me to get anything else?
I mean, it's crazy.
It's wild. It is wild.
Paper Mike. Good morning, Gill. It's nice to see you're back from vacation in high spirits. Same with Kelley. Hope he recovers fast from his chin surgery. What's that all about?
I don't know. I was out yesterday. I was not feeling well yesterday. Oh. I did get a haircut. So I was wondering if it was a comment on my beard.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. That's your chin surgery.
Did get it.
CRG Futures. Game 4 is the most important game in a 7-game series, period. I love when everybody's got their favorite. Game 4. Well, I think you could say that about Game 5 or Game 3.
It's just, every series is built different, right? I mean, we're going to run through some of them here in a sec, but it's just every one of these has been wild.
Brian M. says to you, Kelley goes, I'm surprised VSiN didn't cut the ANG promo for today and banish you to the back parking lot of the Golden Gate for overacting, Kelley. His promo was very over the top.
I did reply. That could still happen.
Sam S. Is Kelley responsible for blasting I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole at 7 a.m.? Bob Seger getting a well-deserved break at the D this morning. Oh, no, Seger was all over the place.
I think he hit during the break. Yeah,
he was all over the place. And then Mike Alvarez says, welcome back, Gill. How was the pool and buffet at the sports betting diaspora? Don't worry, the show last week wasn't that much better than when you were there. 30% tops. That's great. Grissom. Oh, this is great tweet. Says what you were referencing to Base Winner about the early days of betting the MLB by predominantly using sabermetrics is exactly what we are doing in college baseball right now. It's still very beatable because info is limited. Check out collegebaseballinsiders.com. We got to have Grissom on for.
Matt was on Friday with us.
Oh, he was
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, he was great. And yeah, the website is incredible. We were talking about it on Friday.
Yeah.
College Baseball Insiders, what they've built up there, I thought was really impressive.
Which fills such a need in that sport.
Exactly.
Yes. Such a need.
It's like, I think it's incredible, but it's so how we've probably said this over the past 15 years about a few sites when there's such a glaring hole when it comes to a sport like that, like you could almost do anything and it would be a major upgrade from what was there, but it's really impressive. Do you feel all the data they've got on there?
WNBA season begins tomorrow, and obviously Caitlin Clark's debut, of course, in the WNBA. Do you feel like WNBA betting will be far more mainstream starting tomorrow? I do.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how long it lasts.
Oh, if she's just terrible, it'll go.
I don't even think that. I just think there's going to be a point where we get used to whatever she is in the WNBA, and I don't know if that takes a few months. I don't know if it takes a few years, but I do think that the excitement is going to calm down a little bit.
I don't know.
Should be fun. New York Knicks should be thanking her, though. I think they did move back that game, right? A night, Game 6 is moved back because they are airing that on Thursday night, her opener.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about these 4 games of the NBA. By the way, I do have a tennis pick coming up this morning. Maybe I should get the tennis pick out first. Again, this is at vsin.com/picks. Every host on the network, every guest on the network, no matter the sport, picks are at vsin.com/picks. Got to be a subscriber, though. Didn't bet much tennis at all this past week when I was off. Usually I do keep betting tennis, but I got really under the weather, and it was a lot to even get through all the matches. But we got back on the horse with a win on Thiago Monteiro a couple nights ago. This morning, this match has not started. We are in Rome for the Italy Open. I am on Tomas Martin Echeverry. Got him at plus 170 last night. It's still plus 158-ish. I would still play it going up against Hubert Hurkacz. This is not Hurkacz's favorite surface. Yes, if his serve is out of this world, that's always something you contend with, but that is mitigated on clay, and Echeverry is a clay court specialist in a in a clay season on the men's side, where, Kelley, we now have injury to Sinner, injury to Alcaraz, a bottle falling on Djokovic's head, and then Djokovic comes out and gets smoked by Alejandro Tabilo. Nadal might not even play in the French Open. It is completely on its head. Echeverry, Tomas Martin Echeverry is the play today at plus 170 was where I got it last night, plus 158. Still a play this morning, about to start in about 20 minutes against Uber or Katz. Okay.
Man, I totally missed this story. What the hell happened with Djokovic?
So
how does a water bottle fall on your head?
So he's going in the tunnel after his match, and some dude is leaning over, sign this, whatever.
Falls, whatever.
And out of his backpack, accidentally comes some water bottle, but like a not just like a plastic bottle.
Like one of those hardened ones. Yeah.
Lands
like
right on Joker's head.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, he was fine, right? No incident. He played his next match. But he comes out and he gets not only beat by Alejandro Tabilo, who's a great clay court player, didn't come out of nowhere, but there's no way he should beat Djokovic, let alone crush him. And so one does wonder, did the bottle hurt you on the head? Is that a thing? And so Djokovic kind of did that thing where it's well, I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe it did. I don't know.
You might as well lean into it after you get beat, right? I don't know. It really hurt.
All right, tonight, NBA. Celtics-Cavs Game 4 in Cleveland. Cleveland took a game in Boston. They had a great three-point fest in the third quarter of Game 2. Much like Miami did that for that whole game where they beat Boston in the first round. So Cleveland was able to steal a game from the Celtics. And the Celtics are there two quote-unquote superstars like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown who remind you quickly that maybe they're not quote-unquote superstars as quickly as those two guys do. They just become so in love with threes. Maybe if your threes aren't dropping, you made this point, Kelley, by text when we were off. Maybe, I don't know, drive to the hole or something. They come back, they win Game 3, and I don't think anybody thinks the Cavs are going to win the series, but 8.5 points tonight, I don't know. I didn't think the Celtics in their Game 3 win actually stopped the Cavs down the stretch at all. I'll take the 8.5 tonight.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Gill involved with some NBA betting. I mean, if anything, it still felt, even from the move from Boston to Cleveland, that line has felt a little much to me. So if I was going to do anything there, it would be that. I'm going to keep going back to the well, I think, on Donovan Mitchell here, waiting to see. I don't know, he's listed questionable. I cannot imagine he's missing this game tonight. I bet his over threes already, which that's finally got adjusted. Man, we were betting. Matt was in. We were betting over 2.5. Not that juice, not that much. He's chucking up 9-11 a game. It's just volume. How much is Donovan Mitchell forced to shoot because of them being down, him being the only really efficient offensive player on the team with Jared Allen out? So I went back to over 3.5. It has gotten adjusted to where it's probably fair now. I will say, make sure you shop around. If you're betting any props like that, shop around. This is the shop within the same book conversation, right?
Yeah.
If you're over 3.5, or you go to the index props where it's 4+ threes, they're the same damn thing. They should be the same price. So often they're not. So I bet at 4+ threes because I found it a little bit cheaper price. Bet the threes. I've been betting over his points, over 29.5 every single game. Haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet, but I think I'm going back to it. Again, he just puts up so many shots because of the Cavs have so little other guys they can rely on to score. So I'm with you, whether it's a close game. I mean, really, I feel like I'm losing out on opportunities to get those homes if they're blowouts. But close games a lot.
No outcome shocks me in this game tonight. None. Even the Cavs win. Really doesn't. Hockey with Jake Hahn next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The NBA playoffs are heating up, and so is the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code VSiN. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon. We get tweets at Beating the Book. I just want to read this one because it explains perhaps an earlier one. From Mr. Bomb Apple. Nice to have the A-team back. You can tell Kelley that any reference to him having cosmetic surgery yesterday is attributable to VSiN culprit Dustin Sweetelson.
I figured that was probably the answer, yeah.
Who every 15 minutes told the listeners he had calf implant surgery and was recovering.
Wait, chin implants or calf implants?
Now we're saying calf implants. I don't know. The mystery continues.
I don't need a chin implant because the beard covers it. I do have a weak chin, though. I got a weak chin.
3Jack, H3131. Gill, welcome back from vacation. How many weeks a year do you get? Sad to see Camila Giorgi quietly slip into retirement last week. Let's start the tennis week right with Tomas. Well, we started it right with Tiago the other day, just to be clear. But okay, we'll start with Tomas today. I love the randomness of the questions. Vacation? I don't know. They're just, let's put it this way. They're just bunched up at one time of year, so it seems like a lot.
Yes.
But I never leave in the football season. And then Camila Giorgi. Yeah, we've had a lot of tennis retirements here. Dominic Thiem is wrapping it up. One major. He won the U.S. Open the year that Djokovic got bounced for hitting the umpire, or I don't know, the lines person or the umpire when he hit the ball back and it hit her. And then she acted like she got shot. Remember that? And then he got bounced for the tournament. That was the one that Dominic Thiem won. He's hanging up. Camila Giorgi, the lovely leaflet Camila Giorgi. She's on the leaflet. She's retiring. And then Danielle freaking Collins, we know, is retiring also this year as well. So, yeah, it's happening in tennis. Here's a man who knows a little something about tennis. He knows a little something about golf. He knows a little something about hockey. It's Jake Hahn, everybody. You can follow him on Twitter at jhahn4. Comes to us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. And, of course, Jake, for those who don't know, SiriusXM NHL, co-host of The Point in the Fantasy Hockey Show. What's happening, Jake?
Not too much, guys. Not planning to retire anytime soon. But hey, who knows? If you hit a good parlay, you know, golf winner comes through for us, major season. Maybe by next week I will be retired. So I'm not ruling anything out.
Let's talk about the golf for a second, because now, did you have Rory at Wells Fargo by any chance?
I did not. I actually kept the Wells Fargo card very light in terms of an outright, but I did look at the top of the board and I thought, you know what, this makes a lot of sense that one of the big dogs could step up. We know how much Rory loves that golf course as well, and you had to feel a little bit for Xander Schauffele, who, you know, butt end of a lot of jokes when it comes to closing tournaments and finishing second or third. Not much you could do on a Sunday. You know, it's not like Xander played great by any means. He played okay, sort of just hovered around even par for the day, but when a guy like Rory goes out and plays like that and is pulling out for eagle from the bunker, and it was the second eagle of the day, there's just not much you could really do there. So congrats to anybody that laid it with Rory, and it adds a nice layer to this major championship week, right? To have Scotty Scheffler, we're still on baby watch there, playing at such a high level. Now Rory's coming off of a dominant win as well. So in terms of the top of the board at the PGA Championship, there's a lot of interesting storylines now.
All right, and please tell me you did not make an in-tournament play on Xander Schauffele, Kelley. Please tell me you did not.
Bet him top 10 like usual. No outright
for me.
There you
go. That's my man right there.
Top 10s keep rolling. Every other golf bet I make, oh boy.
Just to clarify here, heading into Valhalla, the PGA Championship, the second major of the golf season, Scotty Scheffler's wife did drop the album, right? She did release her 5-star play. That has happened.
We have reports. There was reports that surfaced this weekend. I don't think we have anything in stone official from the Scheffler family or anything, but there were...
This has to have happened already.
Reports that surfaced that this happened like a week ago, yes.
Yeah, come on. What's going on here?
I don't know. Scotty Scheffler and the spin team, man, they got it under control.
All right, so assuming that he is now a proud father, you guys, I just want to share this conversation you guys were having off air about, okay, because Kelley immediately was like, oh, God, I got a lot of prep to do for Valhalla and PGA Championship. And then you quipped very quickly. What was your line?
Well, you spend all that time prepping, and I'm the same as Kelley, right? You prep for these weeks, you put in hours and hours, and then Scotty Scheffler wins by 6. And you're like, why did I spend all that time prepping when I knew it was going to happen already?
We're kind of there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of been there, but we're certainly there. Scotty Scheffler is 4-1 plus 450-ish in that pocket to win. I mean, good God. Rory, by the way, plus 750, the only other person that's in single digits, and then Brooks Koepka leading the double-digit parade at 12-1. Did you make any bets yet, Jake?
Not yet, guys, but there is. I am going to go to the top of the board. I will bet one of the big dogs, and then maybe try to find some value a little bit further down to see if I could find a couple of other names. But at the end of the day, I think these are the guys that are going to be competing on Sunday. At least a few of them. Whoever plays well out of this group, it's hard to say anything bad about what Scotty Scheffler's doing. The price won't be for me. Famous last words. I've said that in many tournaments and come out on the losing end to Scotty Scheffler. It's kind of crazy that he hasn't won a PGA Championship or a U.S. Open yet. These courses, these setups are just made for Scotty Scheffler. You got Rory coming off the win now. But it's going to be tough not to go to Brooks Koepka for me here, guys. We know how much he dominates these types of tournaments, these types of courses. He loves the PGA Championship. And just reading into what he's been saying post-Masters, which was a really disappointing performance from him, I think he was very disappointed by that, and he's got a chip on his shoulder coming in this week. So Brooks Koepka is where I'll have my eye, but I'm seeing some 19s, some 20s on Jon Rahm as well. I'm not sure exactly where his game is at, guys, because I don't follow Liv all that closely. But, man, Jon Rahm and his talent, close to 20-1, it's hard to not get a little bit interested by that number.
Good point. 16-1 is what we're showing, but always shop around for each and every one of these golf outrights. Let's talk some hockey. Let's do that hockey. Eastern Conference has been kind of a non-thing because you have two teams in terms of how they performed in the first round and now in the second round that have been dominant. That's the Rangers and the Panthers. But let's talk about the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Rangers and the Hurricanes, Game 5 tonight, with the Rangers looking for the closeout, but a coin flip at best. In some weird ways, the pressure on the Rangers here?
No, I actually think that it is on the Rangers. And it might be strange to say that about a team that, is one win away and will have multiple chances to close out this series if they need it. And, the Canes are facing elimination tonight. But these are the games, like we never see teams or very rarely see teams come back from 3-0, which is what Carolina is trying to do here. They win the last game. But this is, to me, the hinge game, the pivot game, because it's at Madison Square Garden. The Canes have to find a way to win a road game. Technically, they'll have to win 2 road games if they want to actually complete the comeback here. So they get it done on home ice in Game 4. If you win this one, all of a sudden it's 3-2. You're going back to Raleigh, where they have historically played great hockey, especially in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden the pressure is really cranked up on the Rangers. And now we're talking possible Game 7. So this is the moment, I think, for the Rangers to step up and say, okay, you got your win. That's fine. We didn't sweep you. It was always going to be tough to sweep a team like Carolina, but we can't let them get back in this series. So tonight is a massive night for the Rangers, not only to make it through to the conference finals, but maybe get a little bit of extra rest, see if Boston can stretch out that series with Florida as well. So pivotal game for the Rangers. And I think they know that going into tonight.
You make a bet on them tonight, would you?
I am taking I've been riding the Rangers for the better part of this series, guys. In Games 1 and 2 at Madison Square Garden, they were about plus 120 on the money line in that range. And I just thought that was a crazy price for a home team that I thought was equal to, maybe better than Carolina. And then a significant dog in both games in Carolina, actually less so in Game 4. The odds did adjust after 3 Rangers wins. And we are seeing an adjustment in the odds tonight based on what the home games 1 and 2 in New York were, right? We're seeing, close to a pick, maybe Rangers as a slight favorite tonight. Still think there's value on that number from New York, and I like them to close it out tonight.
All right, Stars and Avalanche is the other one tonight. That's the nightcap. Stars up 2-1 in this series. This Game 4 in Colorado with the Lanch minus 140. We're showing minus 135 favorites.
Yeah, I like Colorado here, guys. I just think that this is a bounce back spot for the Avs. And full credit to Dallas for sort of regrouping in this series, finding a way to win at Ball Arena in the last game, which is just incredibly difficult to do. Not a lot of teams are able to do that regular season or playoffs. So for me, it's just strictly looking at this and saying, man, are the Avs really going to drop both games at home? It's possible. Anything's possible this time of the year. But I'm willing to bet on the Avs to not do that and to be able to bounce back on home ice. So minus 135, I think is a pretty fair price. If you want to risk it, you could go to the puck line. I don't necessarily love to do that in the playoffs because I think teams are a little bit more protective at the end of the games and not firing for those empty nets quite as much as they are in the regular season. But if you want to maybe find a -1 out there, a little bit of a better price, so you don't have to lay that minus 135. But I do like Colorado to find a way to even this series tonight.
All right. If I said to you must make one bet on a series underdog right now. So Canes down 3-1 against the Rangers. Avalanche down 2-1 against the Stars. We talked about those two. But then tomorrow night, Bruins down 3-1. They're not getting any help with the Zebras either. 3-1 down against the Panthers. The Bruins are. And then the Oilers down 2-1 against the Canucks. What's the dog play?
It would be Colorado or Edmonton for me. I still, when you look at this Edmonton-Vancouver series, guys, and last night's game, I mean, you look at the shots on goal and some of the chances, lopsided in favor of Edmonton. I think at some point that dam bursts and the Oilers find a way to win that series against Vancouver.
Canucks and Oilers looking to be the Canadian representative, if you will, in hockey's Final Four. Jake Hahn. Thank you, Jake. Always appreciate it, man. Enjoy the golf.
Awesome. Good luck this week, guys. Great talking to you.
Too. Always affable, Jake Hahn. We'll come back. We'll talk some NFL, most and fewest wins next.